Part 2, Attracting Money and Manifesting Abundance.
While money is not absolutely essential to your experience, to most people, money and freedom are synonymous. And since an intense awareness of your right to be free is at the very core of that which you are, it then follows that your relationship with money is one of the most important subjects of your life experience. And so it's no wonder you have such strong feelings about the subject of money. Although some people have discovered the freedom of allowing large amounts of money to flow through their experience, it's more often the case that because you're experiencing far less money than you need or desire, most of you are not feeling free. It is our intention here to clearly explain why this financial disparity exists, so that you can begin to allow the abundance that you want and deserve into your experience. As you hear these words and as you begin to resonate with these law-based truths, you'll align your desire with the abundance of your world, and then the evidence of your newfound alignment will soon become apparent to you and to others who observe you. Whether you're one who has been working to achieve financial abundance for many years, or you're a youngster just starting down that path, the journey to financial well-being does not have to be a long one from where you are. And it does not require large amounts of time or physical effort, for we're going to explain to you in simple and easy to understand terms how to utilize the leverage of energy that's available to you. We want to show you the absolute correlation between the thoughts you've been thinking about money, the way you feel when you think those thoughts, and the money that flows into your experience. When you're able to consciously make that correlation, and you decide to deliberately direct your thoughts accordingly, you'll access the power of the universe, and you'll then see how time and physical effort are rather irrelevant to your financial success. So we will begin with the simple premise of your universe and of your world. You get what you think about. Often people say to us, that can't be true, because I've wanted and thought about more money for as long as I can remember, but I continue to struggle and not have enough money. And what we tell them then is the most important thing for you to understand if you want to improve your financial situation. The subject of money is really two subjects. Money, plenty of money, the feeling of freedom and ease that plenty of money can provide, and absence of money, not nearly enough money, the feeling of fear or disappointment that the thought of absence of money induces. Often people assume that because they're speaking the words, I want more money, they're speaking positively about money. But when you're speaking of money or anything, and you're feeling fear or discomfort as you speak, you're not speaking about the subject of money, but instead you're speaking about the subject of not enough money. And the difference is very important because the first statement brings money and the second holds it away. It is of value for you to become aware of how you are really thinking, and more important, how you're feeling about money. If you're thinking or saying things like, oh, that's a very beautiful thing, but I can't afford it, you're not in a vibrational place to allow the abundance in that you desire. The feeling of disappointment that is present as you acknowledge that you cannot afford it is your indicator that the balance of your thought is pointed more toward the lack of your desire than toward the desire itself. The negative emotion that you feel as you acknowledge that you cannot afford something that you want is one way of understanding the balance of your thoughts, and the amount of abundance that you're actually experiencing is another way of knowing. Many people continue to perpetuate the experience of not enough in their lives simply because they don't think beyond the reality of what they're actually experiencing. In other words, if they're experiencing the shortage of money and are aware of it and speak of it often, they hold themselves in that chronic position. And so many people protest when we explain to them the power of telling the story of their finances as they want it to be rather than as it is, because they believe that they should be factual about what's happening. But we want you to understand that if you continue to look at what is and speak of what is, you'll not find the improvement that you desire. You may see a parade of changing faces and places, but your life experience will essentially show no improvement. If you want to effect substantial change in your life experience, you have to offer substantially different vibrations, which means you must think thoughts that feel different as you think them.
Lackful action doesn't pay off. Well, Abraham, many years ago, I owned a motel down near El Paso, Texas, and H.L. Hunt, who at that time was one of the wealthiest men in the United States, he was one of the multi-billionaires, called me. He had purchased, it's called Ojo Caliente, a small resort down on the Rio Grande River that was financially failing, and he had heard that I might have some useful information to help him turn it around. As we were visiting in my little coffee shop, I had a difficult time focusing on our conversation because I just couldn't understand why a man that wealthy would be still discontent and looking for a way of making more money. I wondered why he didn't just sell the place at whatever price and go on about his life enjoying the money he had already accumulated. And I have another friend who's in the multi-billionaire class. We were in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, walking on the beach and a few years ago, and he was talking about some business problems he was having, and it really struck me that that man, so wealthy, would have any kinds of troubles. But what I've learned from you, Abraham, and I've learned a lot from you, is that our true success in life is not about how much money we have or about having the things, right?
The things that you have and the things that you do are all meant to enhance your state of being. In other words, it's all about how you feel, and how you feel is all about coming into alignment with who you really are. When you tend to your alignment first, then the things you gather and the actions you perform only enhance your good-feeling state of being. But if you do not find that vibrational balance first and attempt to make yourself feel better by bringing more things into your experience or participating in more activities in order to try to make yourself feel better, you just get further out of balance. We're not guiding you away from accumulating things or from taking action, because all of that is an essential part of your physical experience. In other words, you intended the wonderful experience of exploring the details of your physical world in order to help you personally determine your own joyous growth and expansion. But when you try to move forward from an imbalanced footing, it's always uncomfortable. If you'll begin by identifying how you want to feel or be, and then let your inspiration to accumulate or do come from that centered place, then not only will you maintain your balance, but you will now enjoy the things that you gather and the things that you do. Most people do most of their wanting from a place of lack. They want things in many cases simply because they do not have them. So the having of them does not really satisfy anything deep within them, because there's always something else that they do not have. And so it becomes a never-ending struggle to try to bring one more thing that still will not be satisfying, into their experience. Because I don't have this, I want it. And then they really think that getting it will fill the void. But that defies law. Any action that's taken from a place of lack is always counterproductive, and it always leads to more of a feeling of lack. The void that these people are feeling cannot be filled with things or satisfied with action, because the feeling of void is about the vibrational discord between their desires and their chronic habits of thought. Offering better feeling thoughts, telling a different story, looking for positive aspects, pivoting to the subject of what you really do want, looking for positive what-ifs, that's how you fill that void. And when you do, a most interesting thing will occur in your experience. The things you have wanted will begin to flood into your experience. But these things that you've been wanting will flood into your experience not to fill your void, because that void no longer exists. They flow in because your void no longer exists. Certainly, you will gather many magnificent things into your experience. Our message is not for you to stop wanting, having, or doing. Our message is for you to want and accumulate and do from your place of feeling good.
Neither money nor poverty makes joy. Abraham, there's a saying that money doesn't make for happiness. But on the other hand, I've noticed that poverty doesn't make for happiness either. But still, it's obvious that money isn't the path to a happiness. So, if the idea of achieving something does bring us happiness, does that mean that the achievement is an appropriate goal for us to set? And how does a person maintain his or her feeling of happiness when reaching one's goal is taking a lot of their time and energy? In other words, it often seems it's a sort of uphill climb to reach the goal, and then there's a short plateau of rest, but then an almost immediate tedious climb to achieve the next goal. In other words, how does a person keep all of the climbing toward their goals joyous, so there's not that struggle, and then, wow, I've made it, and then struggle, and, oh, here, I've made it again?
You're right, money is not the path to happiness, and as you've observed, poverty certainly is not the path to happiness either. It's so important to remember that when you offer any action for the purpose of achieving happiness, you're truly going about it in a backward way. Instead, use your ability to focus your thoughts and words toward things that cause you to feel better and better. And once you've deliberately achieved a state of happiness, not only will wonderful actions be inspired, but wonderful results must follow. Most people give the majority of their attention to whatever is happening in their experience right now, which means if the results please them, they feel good, but if the results do not please them, they feel bad. But that's really going about life the hard way. if you only have the ability to see what is, then things cannot improve. You must find a way to look optimistically forward in order to achieve any improvement in your experience. When you learn how to deliberately focus your thoughts toward good-feeling things, it's not difficult to find happiness and maintain it even before your goal has been accomplished. The feeling of struggle you were describing happens because of the continual comparison of where you are right now in relationship to the goal you're reaching for. When you're constantly taking score, noticing the distance that still needs to be traveled, you amplify the distance, the task, the effort, and that's why it feels like such an uphill struggle. When you care about how you feel, and so you choose thoughts on the basis of how they feel, you then develop patterns of thought that are more forward-looking. And as the law of attraction then responds to those better feeling thoughts, you get more pleasing results. Struggle, struggle, struggle never leads to a happy ending. It defies law. When I get there, then I'll be happy is not a productive mindset, because unless you're happy, you can't get there. When you decide to first be happy, then you'll get there.
I am here as a joyful creator.
You're not here as accumulators or regurgitators. You're here as creators. When you're looking toward an ending place, you exaggerate the feeling of lack between where you are now and that ending place. And that habit of thought can not only slow the progress of your creation, but can hold it apart from you indefinitely. You are the attractor of your experience. As you look for positive aspects and make an effort to find good-feeling thoughts, you will hold yourself in a place of positive attraction, and what you want will come faster. The sculptor of a work of art does not derive his greatest satisfaction from the finished piece. It is the process of creation, the sculpting of the piece, that gives him pleasure. That's the way we would like you to view your physical experience of creating, continual, joyful becoming. As you focus your attention upon things that feel good and achieve a consistently joyful state of being, you'll then be in the position of attracting more of whatever you want. Sometimes people complain that it seems unfair that they have to become happy before things that bring them more happiness can then come to them. They believe that when they are unhappy, they need the happy events to come. But when they're already happy, then the happy events are unnecessary. But that would defy the law of attraction. You have to find a way of feeling the essence of what you desire before the details of that desire can come to you. In other words, you have to begin to feel more prosperous before more prosperity can come. Often people tell us that they want more money, and when we ask them what their balance of thought is about money, they tell us that they have a very positive attitude about money. But as we probe a bit deeper, asking them how they feel when they sit to pay their bills, they often then realize that while they may have been attempting to sound positive about the subject, they've actually been feeling a great deal of worry or even fear around the subject of money. In other words, often without realizing it, the majority of their thoughts about money have been on the not enough side of the subject rather than on the abundant side of the subject.
The power of vibrationally spending vibrational money.
Here's a process that can quickly help you shift the balance of your thoughts regarding money to a place where you can begin to let more money flow easily into your experience. Put $100 in your pocket and keep it with you at all times. As you move through your day, deliberately notice how many things you could exchange this money for. I could purchase that. I could do that. Someone said to us that $100 doesn't really buy that much in today's economy. But we explained that if you mentally spend that $100 1,000 times today, you've vibrationally spent $100,000. That sort of positive focus will dramatically change your vibrational balance about money. This vibrational spending process will cause you to feel differently about money. And when that happens, your point of attraction will shift, and more money must flow into your experience. It is law. Someone said to us, I didn't have $100, but I put an IOU in my pocket. And we said that's defeating the process because you're walking around with a feeling of debt in your pocket, which is exactly the opposite of what you want to do. You want to feel your prosperity. And so even if it's only 20 or 50, or if it's 1,000 or 10,000 that you have in your pocket, utilize it effectively to help you notice how good things are now. Because in your acknowledgement of your prosperous now, your prosperity must become more.